Hello everyone, this is Var Akobian with the recap of the round 9, the final round of the 2022 Sinquefield Cup tournament. This was a very exciting tournament with lots of drama. As you remember, Magnus Carlsen withdrew after the third round when he lost, and we still don't know exactly what happened. There was an official statement from him, but we'll at some point we'll find out. I think he will explain a little bit more. But anyway, before this round, two players, Alireza Firuza and Jan Nepomniachtchi were tied for first. And Firuza drew his last round game very quickly against Maxim Vacelagraf. Veslistro drew his game against Dominguez, and Mamedyarov drew his game against Aronia. So Nepo had a real chance. If he win against Hans Niemann, he would win the tournament and the first prize of $100,000. Let's take a look how this game went. So c4, e5. So we have an English defense. Knight c3, bishop b4. The point of bishop b4 is just try to take on c3 and create weaknesses. Knight d5, bishop b7, d4. Now trying to break the center. Queen takes d4. And now knight f6. You need to get your pieces developed and also protect g7. So that's why we play knight f6. Takes. Bishop g5. This is still theory. I will pause when we see the new move. Knight f3, still played. And g3. Here Nepo played g3, which is a new move. Previously, every single game in this position was move e3 here. And mixed results here. White may be winning some, but a lot of games ending in a draw. Position is very slightly better for white. But he played g3, which is a novelty. h6 is pretty much forced because you need to question the bishop, and of course you can never retreat here because you're going to get trapped and lose. You're going to lose a bishop. So this is no good. So you have to take, damage the structure, and go knight d2 because now the c4 pawn is hanging and needs to be protected somehow. So b3 was another alternative, but then you may run into risk of getting hit by f5, a4. I believe white is still a little bit better here, but he played here knight d2, d5. A little bit unexpected this move. There are some other alternatives. For example, the move knight b4 is a good move too because you can play here. Checking here. So if rook c1 played, you're just going to take on a2. If king d1 played, you can try to play long castle and try to go for e5. d5. Bishop g2. Sacrificing a pawn. Another option was to take, play e4. This is very concrete. You're attacking the bishop. If you go here, you play bishop here. Long castle, takes. And of course, black's pawn structure looks very, very ugly, but white has some problems with the coordinating the pieces here, so it's going to be hard to do anything. So f5 coming up as well. So very, very slightly advantage for white, I would say, but it's hard to play here. But Nepo decides to play the move bishop g2, developing the bishop, putting pressure on d5, takes, bishop c6 takes, long castle. Again, if for example we trade the rooks off the board and black brings the king to c3, take on c4, this is just going to be a winning position. But black is up a pawn right now and is not planning to give up the pawn. At least that's what we thought. But he decides to play the move c3, sort of the opposite what I think should have been played. The best move here is just rook b8. You hang on to the pawn. Even though they're ugly, but you still have the extra pawn now threatening h4. So, and now you put the rook here and you just play this position. It's very hard to break through because those pawns are weak, but they're controlling so many squares, okay? And position remains to be equal. But here, Hans decided that, it's better to give up the pawn and weaken a little bit the opponent's structure, but I think this was dubious. Now takes back. Now it's equal amount of pawns, and you cannot take the pawn on a2 because the move c4 is going to simply trap you. So let's say you play a long castle, king c2, getting ready to play rook a1. If you're wondering why not just go here, then there is rook d6. You win the bishop, but you're actually going to get into little bit of a trouble here because now you're losing your knight because you cannot move your knight because you're going to lose the d1 rook. So this is going to be okay for black. So that's why we start out with the move rook here. And yeah, looks like rook a1 is coming up. So let's say rook hg1 and rook hg1 goes here. Again, getting ready to play this move. Rook d4, e3. Rook takes c2, rook takes c2. So we're going to get into a position like this where you actually don't lose your bishop fully, but you end up in a very compromised pawn structure here. So rook d4 is an option. So anyways, it's going to be a nice advantage here for white, putting pressure here, and rook a4 picking up the pawn. So we go back to the game. So that's why bishop a2 wasn't played. King e7, king c2, rook hp8, trying to trade again. A2 pawn cannot be taken, and now here rook b1. White would be glad to trade pieces. Trading rooks would really help black in this position. Rook b6 is played. Of course, Niemann wants you know, to exchange rooks and then fix the pawn structure, but that's never really going to happen. After that, black would just simply be better. So I play c4, rook a6. Now rook g8, h4. This idea is good because it stops all the rook g5, rook a5 options. This is what he was trying to do. King c3. Yeah, now some protection of this c4. King goes back here. A4 was a possibility because you don't really want to take here that much because of this move. That will pin you. And if you go here, you're running a risk of rook takes c5. And now rook a5. And you're going to lose your a7 pawn. So I kind of lost my weak pawn on c4, but now I'm going to pick up the a7 pawn and we'll have a pass pawn. Still, it's not like completely clear, but I think white has a slightly better position here. But it's not like it's winning. So, but that didn't happen. King b2 was played. Rook e5, e3, rook f1. And white is doing really well here because it's equal amount of pawns, but black pawns are a lot weaker. h6 is very weak, a7 very weak, and these are important pawns. If you lose those pawns, then opponent can start pushing the a. If he wins the a pawn, then a pass pawn, h, you're going to get the h pawn. So rook g8 comes in as a questionable move. The better try here was just to play here rook a5. And here actually Nepo had a great chance here to play knight b3 and sort of leave this rook in a bad spot here, because where is this rook actually going to go now? So all the squares are taken. So if you continue playing this, okay, knight comes here now, attacking here and also threatening this. So here you're looking very, very uncomfortable here because, you know, your rook doesn't have too many squares. I can try to play even a4 ideas. So big advantage because the knight is actually quite well placed on d4. So that didn't happen. King c3, inaccuracy. Now allowing the rook to go back. That's the main idea. You put the knight over here, you don't allow rook a5. Rook b1, rook g4, rook b4, c5, rook b7. Now rook on b7 is attacking on c7. King b7, rook b8. Everything is played correctly, and again, black should probably just play king e7 here. Another option is actually to put the king on d6. That way you're keeping a protection of this pawn. But now here, and something really strange happened here. Nepo is playing perfectly, and at this point, it's clear that he just wins this game, and he's a Sinquefield Cup champion. Okay, if he draws the game, then they have to play a playoff with Alireza. And here, I mean, he's got the time. He's got 51 minutes. His opponent has on 27 minutes, and he's playing all the moves correctly. And here, just simply inexplicable happened here. He played all these moves with the intention to take the pawn, but for some reason, he decided against it, which is very hard to understand because you take the pawn, you attack in this. If he goes back, you go rook h8. So bishop c4, it's not a good idea because you can simply trade everything. And this is going to be a very bad endgame for black because a7 is very weak, and this guy is just going through. So let's say you try to defend it. I push, push, and I queen. So it's really problematic here. Yeah, so there was really no reason not to take. Once he didn't take, he played a3. And again now, I mean, you still have to take this guy. I don't understand why not just take the pawn. Bishop c4 actually doesn't even work in this case. Well, I have some other options, but I think I will just take. And just rook f6, picking up this guy, picking up that. I mean, all the pawns are weak, so it's just terrible position. So that didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to understand because, you know, after the game, you know, as you know, the game ended in a draw here, and it was a very big blow for Nepomniachtchi. We interviewers asked him, you know, why he didn't take, and he had no answer. So he went here. Now again, the pawn needs to be taken. He just doesn't. He just goes rook b8. This was just hard to understand, this move, rook b8. You got to take the pawn and go back, and you're just winning, and you just didn't want to do it. And now it's no longer easy to win. It's still an advantage for white. It's no longer that big of an advantage, but still you have an advantage. But here I think he was getting more and more frustrated with his play that, you know, he missed a clear win. Now bishop e6, I'm not sure. I think this is a good idea to just start bringing this rook into the game like this. But he went here, repeating, now attacking the knight, bishop d7, now simply protecting it laterally. Okay, it's still an advantage for white, but now he goes for this forcing idea, knight b3. And here he decides, I don't know if he could have done this too, knight e2, but yeah, this is already getting dangerous here, looks like. Because the bishop is active, knight is quite passive here, so yeah, it's not that great. So he played this to take the pawn, but actually this is just inaccuracy as well, because now it's just a draw. Check. Bishop and rook are just so strong. It's just going to give a perpetual because you don't have a move rook c1. Rook c1 is going to fail to this move. And you take. Okay? So it's simply going to fail to this idea. So they end up just repeating. And it was a very, Jan Nepomniachtchi was very, very unhappy after this. And they just, because he could have just won the tournament. And, you know, now they went to playoffs, and the playoffs actually didn't go well for Nepomniachtchi. As expectedly, he was so frustrated. He didn't play well. First game ended in a draw. In the second game, he actually blundered the piece and lost the game. So Alireza Firouzja won the Sinquefield Cup tournament, and also the Grand, you know, he also got the first place in a Grand Chess Tour overall standings. So it was incredible payday for the young 19-year-old. I mean, it was incredible, winning the first place in Sinquefield Cup and also Grand Chess Tour overall. So he became a 2022 Grand Chess Tour champion. So again, it's very hard to explain what happened to Jan. I mean, he was just so close to victory. It's like, you know, somehow Firouzja just, you know, it was his tournament. He saved the difficult positions against Wesley, so he ended up winning that, and against Mamediyarov. There were several moments, and now same thing for Nepo. He has the tournament. All he has to do is just pick up that pawn earlier, pick up the pawn, and I'm pretty sure he's just going to win this game. Okay, just okay. This is fine. Just take the pawn, and everything is perfect. But I think it's just, it was the destiny for Alireza to win this, because he got quite lucky in a lot of the games. He also fought hard, but also he has, you know, right here, Nepo just, you know, he always, you know, almost always converts advantages like this, but he simply failed to do it in this game. So the 19-year-old superstar managed to win, you know, the Grand Chess Tour and the very prestigious Sinquefield Cup tournament, guys. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you check out that 15-minute game they played in the playoffs, and we'll be back with more game analysis for you. Thank you, and I hope you guys enjoyed the Sinquefield Cup recap videos. See you next time. Bye-bye.